Welcome to Exposing Business Logic via APIs to the Power Platform. Hey, I'm Eric, and one of the things that many users, super users are enjoying is the ability to trigger all sorts of things inside Business Central through APIs, quite often from the Power Platform. But sometimes there's stuff you can't do or stuff you want to do differently. So I want to show you in this video how we can expose a piece of standard Business Central business logic as what is known as a bound action, which is a weird name, but it just means that you have an action that is linked to a specific data set. So every OData is always about a table, but in reality the table can become kind of abstract and just being either just a means of passing parameters, or because that you want to do something that is actually on something, like you want to do something on a sales order. So you might as well, pass the sales order and then say, hey, here's a sales order. I want you to do this action. Anyway, let me actually go straight into, here's Power Automate, and I have just created the start of a simple flow here, and manual trigger a flow just so we can test it. So now I want to go to find the Business Central connector, and there's two connectors. There's one for Business Central on the cloud and one for on-prem. I'll select the cloud one in this video. And we got create record, delete record, find records, get records, and update, and all the good stuff. But we also have execute an action, which is the interesting part. So first of all, I need to make sure that I got my environment selected, and I select my company. And I find my API category, and there's a bunch of those, but let's go down right now in the 2.0 here, because what I was thinking we could improve upon, let's use that word, is that we have the sales quote make order. So when and let's just select that one. Then when we are here and we have a sales quote, we can say make order. So we can trigger that, but we can see that this one uses an ID. So maybe let's create a variant of this that instead of using ID actually just uses the real primary key, so we can pass a quote number. Let's try and see if we can do that. Let's jump into, here is a fresh Visual Studio Code project, and so we need to create an API page. So everything, whenever we have something in here, all of this are exposed from a page. So we need to start by creating a page, and we can get some help if you have the AZ/AL Dev Tools. Let me just make a quick plug for that one because it's so awesome. So this guy, if you have this installed, you can simply go and say right click, new AL file wizard, and we want to do a page, and we could call this convert quote to order, and the source table would then have to be the sales header, and the page type in this case, because we're not exposing this as, we can go into web services and expose any page. This is an API, so it's self-exposing. That sounds weird, but that's what it is. So we select API, and right away we get some more fields here. So publisher, that will be, let's do Hogarth. API group, all at YouTube. API version, we go with 2.0, and entity name, that's the, so what is it, the entity in this case is the sales header, but we can call it anything we want. So I'll just call it quote, and entity set means the plural version, so that'll be quotes. And we'll do a next. Now we need to select some fields, but we don't really need that, but we can. So we can be nice and then do the primary key fields, because they are kind of there anyway. We'll document type and we'll do number. Finish. So at this point we have an API of the sales header table with the document number and document type and document number. But let's actually just make sure that we don't trigger something weird. So let's do table view where document type is equal a constant of quote. So this will only work on quote. So that's an API, by the way. So now if we added 1 million fields here, then we would have a sales quote API. But that's not what we want to do. We want to trigger some business logic. And let's just create a procedure here called convert. What do we want to call it? Convert to order. And let's see if we, so if we go and look at let's go and look, base application. If we go and look at the sales quote page, I think it's called make order or something like that. Yeah, make order. What we can see here is that the trigger on action says that, hey, if this is approved, then we run a code unit called sales quote to order yes no. And if we do a navigation F12 on that one, we can see that test field, and then it runs sales quote to order run. And what is this? Do an F12 on that one. That's a code unit, sales quote to order. So we'll grab that one, exit out of this, and so we have that as a variable. And here's the beauty part. So let's sales quote to order dot run. That was what it did. And then we need to pass a sales header. So we're gonna pass rec, because that happens to be what we have. We could have created a quote table that was just like a parameters to this API, but in this case we'll just use the one we want to use. So now we have a procedure on a page, which is kind of useless because this page is never going to show up in any UI where we would be able to trigger this. So the first thing we need to do is that we need to tell by an attribute. So whenever we put something, so this is something that AL has stolen from C#, that you can add attributes. In this case, we want to add an attribute to this function saying service enabled, meaning that, hey, this is to be able to be called from a web service. But that is not quite enough. So what we need to tell so in order for this function to work, and this is kind of weird, but we need to add a parameter called action context, which is a web service action context type. And then we need to do a couple of things here. We need to say action context dot set result code. So if we get this far, then we have a web service action result code, and we need to tell how this, what was the result of this. So we could go with created. I guess that could be. and then there's a couple more lines that maybe somebody, because Microsoft documentation is useless in this context. So you need to do set object type. You need to tell what you are. So in this case, we object type page, because that's the only thing that can be an API, I guess. And then we need to say object ID is the page that we're on. So that's the one called convert. And then we need to tell what the not set, but add entity key, so we can tell something about the one what we worked on. Since if in doubt, you can just do. And people got angry in another. No, not angry. That's wrong. People comment that I just use field number instead of using the field number function. So we'll use that in here, and then just pass the system ID back. We could also perhaps better send the number back if we want to do that. Something like that. And I think that's pretty much it. So think about what we did here. So we added the service enabled attribute. We added the parameter and we added these 4 lines of plumbing. The rest is just the regular code. So let's try to deploy this thing. And we're deploying to a cloud sandbox to be able to easily connect to it. While that is deploying, I think the interesting part here is that you see with the, oh, it's already deployed freaking fast. So like the sales quote to order, there's a bunch of code units that are basically functions like that. So if we go back and take a look at this one and go to code units, there's also like all the posting stuff is there. Sales post, purchase post, purchase quote to order, sales quote to order, blanket sales order to order. All these functions are there, and it's basically the same way you run them. You pass a record to them and ask them to do their thing. So quite easy to expose. Anyway, let's see. We got this one exposed. That is good. So we can ignore this. And let's actually just delete this guy and try to recreate it now. I could also demonstrate this with Postman, but that's just ends up in copy pasting a lot of JSON. So I thought it was more fun to do it from in here. Okay, so execute an action. I will select my my environment. I will select my company. I will select my category, and remember what we did over here. We said that this was Hogarth and YouTube. So we got Hogarth and YouTube. And what actions do we have? Well, we have quote dash convert to order. So what is the naming convention here? Well, the naming convention is entity dash the function name. So we could expose more than one thing if we want to this. So we could expose a convert to invoice and then call the other code unit. So we'll take this one. And now we can see that, oops, now we got 2 fields here. So with the one that we just saw in the beginning of the Microsoft ask for ID, because that one has specified that the OData primary key. So you could go up here and then you can say OData key fields, and then do system ID. Then we'll kind of get what Microsoft were doing, but now we're getting the real number. So we can go back in here and say quote. Let's see, this 2000. Let's see if we can do this. Come on. BC. So this is the number that we want to work with. And this is clearly a quote. So we put quote in, and number, we put this guy in, and let's save. Your flow is ready to go. We recommend you test it. What an excellent idea. I click test. Test, run flow, go to the flow run page. So let's see what's happening. And it's already done. Your flow ran successfully. So yeah, I guess we need to go back here and then refresh the screen. And 1002 is gone. Now converted to an order. It all worked at first try. Huh, that was too easy. So let's see if we get any more from this. We didn't really get anything output, but we passed in what we needed. So I think that's pretty cool. So an easy way to expose. Let's just take a quick look at the code again. An easy way to expose something as an action. So if we copied this guy, so okay, let's do one more, and then convert to invoice, and select the other one, convert to sell to invoice, and this is still the same page. So now we have two actions. We can deploy that. And we authenticate again. Somebody's asked me why I use that login. So I use the legacy.net thing because it's way faster to type a password than to always have to copy paste the code and paste the click and log in, because for some reason caching has never worked for me. Anyway, so if I go back to this guy, and now I think I need to get rid of this one and there's probably a way to get it to refresh everything, maybe by selecting something above. ACS, Kronos, Hogard YouTube, and bam, we have two actions now. Let's try the other one just for the fun of it. So this is still a quote. I wonder what I have in my... No, I have source code now, because let's find that one and then say as quote dash something. Oh man, that was bad. Save this one. We recommend you test it. I am already on it. Flow run. Test failed. So we did break something. Yes, we broke something. Action quote to convert to invoice cannot be found. So did you yell at the screen? Did I? Was my I don't see it. Anyway, let me know, because we're already at the almost to 20. Let me know if you can see my bug here. That's a viewer task. What did I do wrong? Why do I get action quote that convert to invoice cannot be found when the other one could. And the only thing we changed was the name. Interesting. Huh. Anyway, let me know if you were able to spot my mistake. I'm not, and the video is getting too long to check into that. That was kind of weird. Bummer. Anyway, if you like me seeing do fails at the end of a video, you should totally subscribe, and maybe even this video, if I can able to point correctly to it, might have other, or maybe it's awesome. I think it's awesome. Go check it out. I'll see you there.